All right, so Operation 123, what is it? Operation 123. So GoGo, anybody heard of GoGo here? Y'all should look her up. She's a social media strategist. She's got, I don't know, tens of thousands of followers on Instagram. It's a crazy number, maybe 100,000. I don't know. She got a crazy number of followers. She does 100% of her agent attraction through Instagram. Okay, so and all she does is post what she's doing. Hey guys, I just arrived at Knolly's teaching. I don't know what he's going to be teaching about, something, but I just got here. I hope it's going to be a great day. Boom, that's a post. She does that about 2-3 times a day. Us introverts, it doesn't appeal to me, but that's what she does. She's got several hundred people in her group that she's attracted over 100 agents, 113 agents to her first line personally, just through that strategy. Okay, so if you're like Christine, that would be a strategy for you. Okay, and she taught me something. She had me as a guest on her show a couple weeks ago, and she taught me something. She said, Knolly, I've been challenging my agents to do 1 deal a month. 1 deal a month. And I'm thinking about that, 1 deal a month. See, I've always taught you guys to take 6 to 10 listings a month is what I've always taught. 6 to 10. Uncle Knolly's always pushing it. 6 to 10, 6 to 10. And then it occurred to me, maybe I'm being a little too hard on my people. Just because I did that doesn't mean that that has to be for what everyone should do. Does that make sense? So I came up with a new thing that we call Operation 123. By the way, I have to remember to take sips of water because I get excited. Somebody out there say, Uncle Knolly, drink. Remind me like every 10, 15 minutes. I used to, when I would do these seminars, I used to get, by the way, I don't like being seen, so I get very nervous before I would, and God is a jokester. So he put it in the cards that I would become a public speaker. because for one, I love people. Okay, let's not get that wrong. Okay, I love people, but I'm okay not being around people. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I like, give me a good spreadsheet, a book, a book, what? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Webinar. A 4-hour webinar where I don't have to like be in like belly to belly, toe to toe, cheek to cheek, you know? But then when I get around people, I do light up. I mean, but that's the Holy Spirit within me. So Operation 123, what is it? 1 sale per month, 2 hours per day, 3 streams of revenue. This is a new initiative for the masters. And I'm kind of dialing it down because if you can at least reach this goal, okay, then we can start getting you reaching for the stars. Does that make sense? Let's reach for the treetops first, okay? So let's get into this. Operation 123. Take a screenshot or picture or write this down. 1 sale per month, 2 hours per day, 3 streams of revenue. Now, what are the 3 streams of revenue? What does that mean? Okay, so this is rev share. Oh, that's right. Not really rev share. What'd you say? Commission? Rev share, and stock. And stock. Okay, so what book don't you have? Do you have this one? Triple My Listings? I don't have Triple My Listings. Okay, you got that one right there. He gave the right answer. So we have 3 streams of revenue here: commission, stock, and revenue share. Okay, 2 hours a day is what? Do the 2. All right. Y'all got, do you have this one? Secret to Permanent Prosperity? Do you have this one? Secret to God's Will? All right. And somebody else got it. Who else said it? You don't have this one, Triple My Listings? No. There you go. Thank you. And Artemis, you said it, but you got all my books. Probably helped me write a few of them. Yeah. That's funny. So let's talk about this. So what Artemis has introduced to us is this whole thing called the Wealth Lighthouse. Okay, starts off with the victim. Any victims in the house? Raise your hand. The survivor. Okay, so it starts off with the victim and the survivor. So what I've noticed, because I'm on the other side of the curtain, I'm like the Wizard of Oz, and what I've noticed is that, because I can see y'all's numbers. Okay, you know, I know some people don't sign up with me, and if you're listening to this, don't let it be one of you. But some people don't actually sign up because they're like, maybe on Instagram they're one way, but they really don't want Uncle Nod to see their numbers, what they're really doing. A lot of agents are a little bit, proud that way. But I can see a lot of the numbers of the masters, and I see that a lot of the masters aren't putting them down on the books. They're not stacking them. They're not, putting in. Maybe not to say they're not putting in work, because that side of it I can't judge that. But I don't see them closing deals. Does that make sense? Okay. Now in this room I see you guys closing, right? I see y'all's numbers. I see everybody's numbers, but I see a lot of the masters are, and we're going to be helping them, okay? Because a lot of them are under you guys, are in the victim and infrared, which is victim, and their survivor stage. Okay. So I feel like if you did one deal per month, that would get you $10,000 a month, more or less, in this market. Wouldn't you say? That's about what you'd get, 10 grand a month at least. You would definitely cap and go to 100% commission, which I think is a good thing, and it will upgrade your mindset and elevate you on the Wealth Lighthouse. Okay, that's the reason for Operation 123. Okay, now one sale per month will give you a steady monthly paycheck, get you out of feast or famine mode, and it's easy to do. How many of y'all like to be in feast or famine mode? Right? We like to have a steady paycheck, don't we? That's the reason why a lot of people go to work and they have what we call regular jobs. Regular, R-E-G-L-A, regular job. How many of y'all like the regular job? I never liked it. 23 years old, last time I got a W-2. Okay, 23. But there are some benefits to having a steady paycheck. Wouldn't you agree? I like seeing money coming in my bank account every month, don't you? Every week, even better. Okay, so here's a question that I get. How am I going to do one sale a month? Now, I know for some of you guys I might be talking down, and that's okay, because I've always taught how to do 6 to 10 listings a month. That's because I only think in high volume. Okay, if you take the owner of a Hershey's chocolate factory, or the superintendent of a Hershey's chocolate factory, that person has only been taught to do high volume. They don't know how to make, they're not like a boutique or like these breweries that are, what do they call them? That are microbreweries or small batch. They don't know nothing about no small batch. Like Hershey's doesn't know about small batch, right? It's like we got an order for 100,000. Let's get them out. So that's the way I think because of my profile. I'm high on the SC scale. I test out as an engineer, and I know some of you guys do as well. I think, Thomas, you're kind of in that category. So we think in these high numbers, but then when you pull it back, it's like, okay, let's make this realistic, because once you get a taste for it, you say, hey, I'm doing 1 a month consistently. Now I can do 2 a month. Hey, 3 ain't so bad. Then it's just a leverage game at that point, right? So the 3 lead buckets, sound familiar?
Yeah, that one I know.
That one you know. So this is where these leads are going to come from. So when you ask, hey, how am I going to do that deal a month? This is how it's going to happen. So what I discovered, I was in the shower one time. It was in Sacramento, my buddy Kevin Cooper's house. We were hanging out, and I had a profound epiphany. Anybody ever have a profound epiphany when they're in the shower? There's something about being around water. The Holy Spirit. Yeah, around the water. The Holy Spirit has to do with that. I never figured out what it is, but I know that we're 70+% water, so there's a connection there with the water thing. But I was in the shower, and I got this thing, and it said, where do your deals come from? I was like, I never thought about it. They just come from everywhere. You know, when you get purpose, the reason I got 2 listings last week, I'm convinced, is because I started prepping for this training, and I said, I got to teach them about getting more listings. So I started focusing back on listings, and then just out of the, Josie will tell you, we landed, we hadn't even gone home. No, we went home, changed, went to Central Market. On the way back, she gets a text from a friend of ours, how much do you charge commission? Like, that's how he opened the conversation. What's your commission charge? Like, dude, you know, so that was the opening. Another gal called us the next day and said, hey, or maybe it was the day before, a couple days before, that she wanted to. So when you start, so the mind, I won't go too far into this right here, we'll talk about it later, but the mind is a receiver, okay, and a transmitter. So when you train the mind, and I've been training my mind this way since I was 13 years old. When you train the mind to transmit, now everyone is transmitting, okay? Everyone is transmitting and receiving. But it depends, you can put this in reverse. So even though you might transmit positive things and have those show up, like I had 2 listings show up, just because I began prepping for a listings class, they just came to me that way, right? And I'm highly adept at this, guys. When you become a master, like these Shaolin guys, we have a guy in our group, he's a Shaolin master, Kung Fu, right? But when you train the mind this way, it works either way. It can work in reverse. When you focus on poverty, lack, you know, if you look at depravity, you're watching the wrong stuff on Netflix, then you start to attract that into your life as well, okay? And some people have only learned to attract negativity, okay? Those are the kind of people that you don't want to be around too much. Does that make sense? Right? So I was in the shower, got this thing, and I said, I don't really know exactly where the listings that I have come from, but I'm going to write it down. So I did a study, reverse engineered, and I looked at all the listings I had taken over the last couple of years before that, and then I put the source of where they came from, and it ended up being like 11 different places, right? But then ultimately it was only 3 buckets, only 3 buckets. And that's good news. Anytime that something is complex, be leery, okay? Because the way God presents things to us is very simple, simplicity. So I'm going to go through this very quickly because most of you guys already know this. And if you have my book, which all of you should have, Success with Listings, okay? I detail this very, now if you don't have it, you're watching this, it's absolutely free at knolly.com. You can download it. But every real estate agent in America should have this book, okay? It is, when you look at it, I mean, when you go look at the reviews on Amazon, I mean, people, it's changing lives. It's changing lives. And it was a labor of love. So sphere of influence, farm, and niche. These are the 3 buckets that would generate you all the leads that you will ever need. Now, how many of you have all these 3 buckets turned on right now for listings? Working on it. Okay. I love that, boy. That's a classic one for my students. They're like, I'm working on it. I taught my students how to write a book. See, this is the thing. You have to, Artemis has taught me how to be more sensitive. Because I'm a cold mother joker, right? Right, Artemis? He said, man, you got to learn how to be more sensitive. Because I'm like, look, some will, some won't, so what? You know, and I just move on. But I learned to be that way. It's not that I'm really that way at heart, because I care a lot. I care deeply. But what I've learned is when you care too much, you start to have that emotional attachment. You start to pick up baggage you don't want. Okay, that's another topic. We're going to study that one time. But actually, we might study it a little bit today. But every single one of you that are under me should have all 3 of these turned on. Okay, you really should. And I'm not telling you this because I want you to just do what I tell you to do. I want you to be successful. And there's only one way that I know how to be successful in this business, and that's listings, okay? I've never, ever in my life marketed for a buyer, ever, okay? And that probably is to my detriment some, because I've probably lost a lot of opportunities, you know, a lot of opportunities. I will say this. But did you know that you don't have to pick up every single opportunity that comes your way? Not that, you don't. God has a lot of mouths to feed, not just yours, okay? You just have to, basically you just have to get your unfair share. Write that down. Yeah. I want my unfair share. Doesn't matter what every other agent is doing. When I was doing over 100 deals a year, the average agent in Austin was doing how many? 6 to 8. I was doing 100. That's called an unfair share, okay? And anybody can do this. Now, your sphere of influence, because retaining a current client is more important than generating a new one. If you abandon your clients, your competitors are waiting to orphan them. So what is the best script right now in today's market to call your sphere of influence? By the way, every one of you has a sphere of influence. What is the best script to use when you call them? Let's say you're going to pick up the phone right now. What's the best script? There's no right answer, by the way.
How's it going?
How's it going? I love it. So my script is, I think, a little better than that, and I'll share it. It's like, hello, ... How's it going? How are you? Just have a conversation with them. Now, this is easy to teach for me, but it is also difficult for me to do. Because whenever I make a call, I have an agenda. I have an outcome projected for that transaction or that conversation. That makes sense? So I'm already planted in my head, but what if we just let God take control and say, hey, I'm just going to call them, see how they're doing. And just wherever it leads, okay? We have to be in touch with our people. There are a lot of people in your sphere of influence that have been thinking about selling their home. They won't talk to anybody about it because they're just thinking about it. Did you know that when a seller is thinking about selling their home, the last thing they want to do is call you? Just the last thing they want to do, because nobody wants to sit down with a salesman. Like when my buddy called me to list his house, I went over as not his friend, I went over as a salesperson, right? We were talking business. The happy hour comes after, you know what I'm saying? We signed the paperwork, we do happy hour. But it was business. And most people, just like when you go buy a car, people don't like to deal with, they don't like to deal with decisions, okay? They don't like to make decisions or change. So when you actually get a call from somebody that's talking about selling their house, they've already been thinking about it for months. Calling you is the last straw. Now, buyers are different. Buyers will call you when they're just kicking it around. Well, I'm kind of thinking about maybe in a year we might buy. Sellers are not that way. When you get a call from a seller, they're ready to do it, right? More or less, usually. Now, your sphere of influence. Past clients, people you know, people that you've met. That's who your SOI is. 7 out of 10 sellers say, according to NAR, that they would do business with a friend, neighbor, somebody that they know, somebody that they trust, okay? And here's the thing that you got to understand. If you're out of sight, you're out of mind. So you got to keep yourself in their sights, all right? So that means 70% of your business will originate from someone in your database. Now, I'm not against you guys creating and building your database, okay? But the idea that most of your business will come from strangers is not holding up true to what NAR statistics say, okay? By the way, did you know that 70 to 80% of sellers list with the first agent they meet with? Most of them meet with just one agent, okay? So this whole thing about competition is not true. I've been out there long enough to know that now I would position myself as competition for people, right? That's positioning, okay? So the reason we do that is because it's fun. It's a game. I would talk to sellers and they say, hey, I'm interviewing 2 or 3 agents. I say, great. Why don't you just have us all there at the same time? Like the dating game. You remember that game? The dating game? Say, hey, just have all 3 of us. Well, what do you mean? I say, well, wouldn't it save you time just to have all 3 of us sitting there like on the couch and you just ask us all the same question? Then you got a 1-hour appointment instead of 3 1-hour appointments. Wouldn't that make more sense? Yeah, I think I like that idea. Well, I tell you what, call the other agents, tell them Knolly Williams is going to be there, and invite them along. Most of them would cancel, okay? Because it's the way I played the game. It's Knolly. You going up against Knolly Williams? Nah. I'm out. I'm folding my hand. That was a game. It was just a game. It was fun. When I was at RE/MAX, I had a van. It was wrapped, had my picture all over it, you know, top realtor in the world, all this kind of stuff that we do. And what I would do is I knew that they had another appointment, you know, with another agent right after mine. So I would purposely stay 5 or 10 minutes late because it would intimidate them. They get there, they see that, oh man, that's Knolly Williams. Then they come in, they're stuttering, they're stammering. They're like, well, the other guy said, you know, it's just fun. You know, a lot of you guys take it too serious. Oh, I got to get that listing. When you're in feast or famine, you play it that way. But when you got 6 to 10 listings rolling in, you're like, hey, Archer, 1 or 2 things is going to happen today. Either you're going to, well, 1 or 3 things really. Either you're not going to list your house at all, or you're going to list with me, or you're not going to like me and not list. Either one is fine. I'm okay with either way. You know, and they knew that. It wasn't just me saying it. I oozed confidence. And see, here's the thing. In this thing called energy, okay, you can't kid the kidder. You can BS a lot of people, but truthfully, and kids are good with this. That's the reason I think a lot of kids like me. You know, when I go to Artemis's house, the first thing I'm doing is the kids are on me, right? The kids love me because they know that I'm pure at heart. I got a pure heart, the heart of the. And I'm not saying this just to sell you guys on it. It's just who I am. People know. After a while, they know, man, this dude is full of it, or he's not. Okay, so you can show up a certain way with confidence and not still be stuck on yourself that way. Does that make sense? Now, 86% of your past clients said that they would refer you. Okay, 86%, but are they referring you? Now, why aren't you staying in touch with your SOI? I already know the answer. It's because you really lack an easy to implement plan. So once again, Uncle Knolly is going to give you that easy to implement plan that I want you to start implementing today, okay, to get you that one deal a month, no questions asked, all right? I call it the KISS method, a monthly e-newsletter, a quarterly mailing, postcard, and a semi-annual call. That's 18 touches a year. That's about every 3 weeks you're touching them. Are they going to forget who you are? You touch them every. Now you can modify this a little bit if you want to do some of this through social media or whatever, but the reason I wrote this book to be evergreen, so I don't have to one is because I don't like editing and come up with new versions every year, right? So I don't have a lot of the social media and all the new strategies that come out every year. Those we can figure out on our own, okay? Those are what we call superfluous strategies. These are evergreen strategies that you'll be able to use for the next 10, 15 years, okay? Now, monthly e-newsletter, I use More Souls. If you're in Mentorship Master, you get it for free, okay? But I really don't care what you use. But it's got to be set it and forget it, okay? They have to hear from you every single month electronically, okay? If you don't like this one, get something you like, but don't go in there saying, hey, I had an agent just a couple weeks ago. They said, I'm going to write a new newsletter every single week, okay? Now, what happens? That agent goes on vacation. It doesn't get done. And then what happens when they get back? They're stacked up, doesn't get done. And eventually, the not getting done turns into never doing it again. Does that make sense? That's why for us, as agents in this room, being honest with you guys, it's got to be set it and forget it. A quarterly postcard mailing. Make that postcard at the beginning of the year. Focus it on selling. Focus it on sellers. This has always been my postcard, always been my message. I don't care if you guys rip it off because I'm out of the game. Even if I was in the game, I used to, people would tell me all the time, well, I don't want anybody stealing my clients. I'm like, how can somebody steal your client? Like, here's my database. Call these people. See, what? I'm going to call Knolly. I'm going to tell on you. You calling me. My realtor's Knolly Williams, fool. Boom. Right? Because I taught him well. You can't. So here's the thing. Thinking about selling your home, list with Knolly. Get more money, sell in less time, free consultation. Josie will tell you this is the same thing I've been, because it's a reticular activator. That's what I'm working on, the reticular activator. So it's like, if you're thinking about selling, then this is a command, okay? This is a question. This is an embedded command. List with Artemis. List with Charles, right? It's a command. And why would you do that? Well, you get more money. Yeah, I want more money. These are the things that sellers care about, is they want more money and they want to save time in the process. They want it to be hassle-free, right? And we offer a free consultation. How many of you guys have a free consultation? How many of you guys charge for your consultation with a seller, your listing appointment? How many of you charge for it? How many of y'all just don't do either one? Right? So here's the thing. You already have a free consultation, right? I learned that from a bankruptcy attorney that I worked for. What happened here? Is that a touch screen? No. All right, what did I do?
Just click back on the slide deck.
Hold on, let me escape. Here we go. Boy, that's a pretty slide deck, boy, I gotta say. All right, yeah, so, all right, let me move on. You guys get this. A semi-annual call, what does that mean? Twice a year.
Smile and dial.
Smile and dial. I like that right there, boy. Smile and dial. Write that down. Write that down.
Yeah.
I've never made a cold call. These are not cold calls. These are people that know, like, and trust you. Your top 200, your A+ list, or your A list. Your top 200 people should be hearing from you, and it's just that simple. How's it going? It's always going to come back, what's going on with you? How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing really good, but I got a big problem right now. Oh, you do? Oh, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, maybe you could help me with this problem. Well, what's your problem? Let's see if I can help. Well, my big problem right now is I don't have any inventory. I can't keep them in stock. Every time I list one, it sells. And it sells for 100,000 over in some cases, right? Shanlin just got one for 100,000. You're buyer. Yeah, you're working the buyer. Yeah, yeah, 100,000 over to get the deal. Okay, crazy. And so you start talking to that. What, 100,000 over? By the way, maybe I should look at what your home is worth. Have y'all thought about selling? Well, we haven't really been thinking about selling, but I tell you what. So in other words, you get that conversation going. You know, I've got a big problem. Maybe you can help me with it. I need more inventory. Who do you know that's looking to sell right now? Well, I can't think of any. I tell you what, but when you think about somebody, you'll call me, won't you? Yeah, I'll call you, right? And you have them give you their information, their friend's information, not that they'll give their information to the friend. Does that make sense? Does that make sense with you guys? Mm-hmm. There's a big difference, guys. Oh, well, have your friend call me. Doesn't work. They're never going to call you. Okay? It's easier to say, hey, Pamela asked me to just give you a call and just chat with you. I'm Pamela's realtor, and just wanted to, you know, ask and just open it up that way. You had a question?
No, I just heard that before. Yeah.
Oh, you heard it before. Okay, good. How many of us have heard this stuff before? There was a guy. He said, I'm not going to church anymore. Pastor said, well, why? How come you're not going to church? He said, man, every time I come to church, I hear the same thing, message. I done heard this stuff so many times. I'm done. I'm not coming back. He said, well, let me ask you a question. That's okay if you don't come back. I'm good with that. What did your wife fix you for dinner last, say, Friday evening? He thought about it. He said, I don't know. He said, well, how about the last Wednesday? I don't remember. What'd you have for dinner? Well, you may not remember what you had, but it nourished you at the time, didn't it? Yeah, it sure did, right? So you're not going to skip eating every day just because you've had that meal before. You see what I'm saying? It's to say a lot of people want the new, but it's the old that works. Okay? And here's what you got to do. Take the old and mix in a little bit of new with it. Does that make sense? Tweak it to you. Now, this is an 18-touch campaign. Now, geographic farming. How many of you are actively geographical farming right now? Okay? Iffy? Okay. I'm your coach. Okay, I can be a hard ass to you guys. Do y'all want me to play it nice, or you want me to tell you the truth? You want to get rich, or you want to keep pretending, you know? How many of y'all want to be rich? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of y'all want to be kind of slightly rich? How many of y'all are afraid to be rich? Raise your hand. No, let's just get it out there. For real. No, seriously. Some people are afraid to be, well, Jesus said the love of money is the root of all evil, right? They don't really study that. We won't get into that. Well, we'll go wherever the Holy Spirit leads. But geographic farming, seriously, guys, this is so important that you grow where you're planted. We have a master that didn't make it today. Why? Because she got another listing. She marketed. What'd she do, Artemis?
So one property in a neighborhood she grew up in, posted the sale of that property and how much she made, how much the listing price was. Got 4 more listings from one post.
Got 4 more listings in this market.
Yeah, from farming in that neighborhood.
From farming from that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. So the trick is, farming is super easy. It's a territorial region that you choose in order to build your business there. That's all it is. Okay. Now, how do you choose a farm? I get this question all the time. It's got to be 500 or more homes, steady turnover, 7%. Average sales price should be enough to support your goals, and it should be nearby. In other words, you don't want to farm in a neighborhood that is an hour away. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, how do you go about it? You can walk the neighborhood. You can do a lot of stuff. In these days, like what Rebecca did, she did it through Facebook. Okay. Have a handout of value. If you do farm the neighborhood, nowadays it's kind of iffy, right? But you always want to have a handout, something of value, okay? And what I like best of the handouts of value that I've ever seen is a buy one, get one free coupon. For example, if you live, like Artemis lives near a South Park Meadows area, so he could easily go to the restaurants around there and say, hey, I'm putting out something for X neighborhood. There's 583 homes. And I wonder if you would do a buy one, get one free. I'm featuring one restaurant of each category. And there's only going to be 6 restaurants featured. And so he could come up with a card that, how many of the neighbors would like that card? You know, you have Chinese, Mexican food, you have whatever. Indian, different food, things like that. Some kind of discount card. Every restaurant would want it, right? They would want that. And then you've got an item of value. There's a principle there when you the law of reciprocity, okay? So when you give somebody an item of value, okay, they reciprocate with kindness and so on, right? Now, brand yourself is very critical. 30% of your mail piece of anything that you do should have your picture on, should be your photo. Those of you that have studied branding from way back, marketing and branding, there's a lot of things that I teach that won't make sense to you, won't quite understand, but just trust me on this, and if you do it, you'll get the result, okay? I don't want my picture on anything. Well, that's your choice. I'm just teaching best practices, what works. Does that make sense? Get involved, run for realtor. You know, being out there and involved in different community organizations is going to be very important for you as well. Okay, even if you're, you know, an SC or a CS, you could be on board meetings and things like that. You want to do open houses a lot. The thing about open houses in this market is kind of weird, right? Kind of tricky. So you would want to do it in such a way where maybe you hold the house open for a couple of days. Meanwhile, you're taking offers, because now, when you know this market is like, hey, when's the deadline for us to get in and get an offer? I mean, I put another house on the market yesterday, and the guy texted me like, do you have any offers? I'm like, dude, it went on the market 30 minutes ago. He's like, yeah, but I want to know if you have any offers on it. Like, okay, it is a different market for sure. All right, every door direct mail. Every single one of you should be doing this. This is money. How many of y'all are doing every door direct mail? EDDM, okay? We got one person doing it, okay? So every door direct mail is free to you, okay? It's absolutely free. Now it costs 20 cents per piece, but let's say you have a farm of 1,000 houses. You're gonna get 4 trades to go in with you on that. A landscaping company, maybe a handyman, okay? Maybe a roofer, depends on the, you know, the neighborhood. But a house cleaner, painter, doesn't matter. 4 different trades. Each one of them pays $75. And always do a jumbo postcard, 5x7 or 8.5 by 5.5, a jumbo. Now each one of them is on the back of your postcard for $75 a piece. How much did it cost you to mail 1,000 houses? How much did it cost you to do that? You got 4 trades that pay you $75 a piece.
Cost you 0.
Cost about $250 to initiate the program, but ultimately you made a little bit of money on the back end. So you actually go to 1,000 houses every single month, no money out of your pocket. Every one of you guys should be doing this. This is what's going to get you, you're talking about at least a steady 1 deal a month. Now, let's move to the third category quickly, and that's your niche. Okay, how many of you guys have a niche? What's your niche, Lucas?
Probate.
Probate, okay. Your niche?
Same.
Same, okay. Anybody else? So they work with dead people. Let's see. I was going to start a funeral business one time, a long time ago, but I heard business was kind of dead, so I didn't. All right, go ahead.
1 acre plus.
1 acre plus. Okay, good. That's a great niche. I like that a lot. You know, one of our another master has 1 acre. Stewart does okay, you work with Stewart. Okay, cool. So that's a great niche. He actually owns oneacreplus.com. Okay, so when you really specialize in a niche, you become really serious. You know, there's a bunch of URLs that how many of y'all own a lot of like domain names? How many of y'all have more than like 20 domain names? Okay, like really good ones. Tell me some good ones. What's some good ones you have, Artemis, that you're not really using maybe? Everyone connected to my brand.com.
ArtemisPrime.com, jointhefreedomteam.com.
Jointhefreedomteam.com. Who else?
Yeah, a few, not 20.
What are some good ones?
Oh, just like Austin Probate Realtor.
Austin Probate Realtor. That's good. That's good.
Oh, I just like ThomasHomesales.com.
Tom, oh, you sent me like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
By the way, if any of you guys ever want me to kind of look through the URLs that you're going to create, like, yeah, I like this one, but not that one. You know, here's a rule of thumb. When you pick a domain name, pick one that it's the radio test. Okay. Now I know a lot of people don't listen to radio, but podcast. Let's say the podcast test. What could you say on a podcast, and somebody's driving, they don't have a pen to write it down, and they would remember what it is? That's a good test for a good domain name. Okay. So a bad domain name would be like Knolly.com. Like, who's going to remember that? Like, how do Knolly, Noli, you know, nobody, you can't even spell it, right? But it's one that I have. Why? Because it's my name, right? It just happens to be my name. But I do have like alloveraustin.com is one that I own. I own brandnewagent.com. Okay. So I have brand new agents call me all the time. They're like, hey, what do I do? And I say, you know what? I recommend you go to brandnewagent.com, and I've got a whole bunch of videos there. That's easy to remember. You see what I'm saying? So there's still some good ones out there, some good domain names out there. So any questions so far? All good? Have a specialty, okay? A specialist earns $153,000 more than a general practitioner. Learned that from Stewart. General physicians have 30% more annual visits than, and general physicians are twice as likely to work nights and weekends, okay? Even though they make 30% less. Why? Because they're sought out, they're in demand, and they're relevant. If you have a niche, you want to work that niche, okay? Because there's a lot of riches. The nichier the niche, the richier the rich. The nichier the niche, the richier the rich, okay? Now, remember, a niche is just a division of your company. That's all it is, a division. So when somebody comes to you, like I was counseling an agent that does mostly luxury. And so his problem now is getting lower priced homes because everybody thinks he only does luxury, right? That might be your problem, Christine. You know, Christine's in Beverly Hills. She's with Sotheby's, right? And she's with a recognized brand there. And so a lot of people that might have a home in a lower price category may never even think to call her. So she could easily say, well, you know what? It's no problem. You know, and in fact, when you focus on luxury, they actually think that you're doing them a favor by listing their home. It's like really reverse psychology. It's crazy. But you could say, hey, you know what? It's no problem. I have a division of my company that specializes in homes in your price category. You wouldn't say lower price homes, right? Homes in your price category. Like, just like you wouldn't say older homes. I never use that language with sellers. They don't like having their home called an older home. Like, hey, I like older women. How's that going to go over, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, what I say is, you know, homes in your age category, okay, there's certain semantics and words that you learn to use so that, you know, you can be diplomatic about it. So what will you specialize in? Is it going to be, you know, luxury? It could be homes on 1 or more acre. It could be for sale by owners. It could be new construction, probate, divorce sales. Doesn't matter. You have to have a niche. Now, here's how it all comes together. Your SOI, your farm, and your niche, those are the 3 buckets, okay? Now, here's what I want you to kind of think about. Think about your lead generation around the idea of carving out, because you're going to do what? Do the 2. What does do the 2 mean?
2 hours of lead generation a day.
Yeah.
2 hours of lead generation a day. Okay, I call it a 2x4. That's Monday through Thursday, 2 hours of lead generation. So this is sort of an easy plan. Monday, sphere of influence. Tuesday, farm. Wednesday, sphere of influence again. Thursday, farm. And then Friday, agent attraction. 2 hours. Okay, you don't have to follow this, but what I would recommend is that you structure your lead generation this way so that when you go into your lead generation bunker, you have very specific things that you're going to focus on. And if you don't already have, all of you guys should have Triple My Listings. This is 27 ideas for free seller leads. And what you do is you can actually categorize these by sphere of influence, farmer, or niche. And then when you go into your bunker, what you want to do is you want to hit the ground running, okay? So the way you do that is you say, okay, it's Monday, it's sphere of influence. No thought involved. Otherwise, you guys are going to be very, very scatterbrained in your way of doing it. Does that make sense? Right? So I would highly recommend that you create a schedule like that.
Is one of them supposed to be niche? Thursday, niche?
Oops. Yeah. Okay. Niche, guys. Got a niche to get rich. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, so it would be, now the reason I put sphere of influence twice is why?
70%.
That's your biggest bucket. Yeah, so you should focus on that more. But Tuesday, say Tuesday farm, Thursday niche. Work in your farmer niche. Any questions so far with this? Okay? All right? It's a refresher, but I want you guys, and that's how you're going to get, there's no question about it. This is how I got 6 to 10 listings a month. There's no question about it that you can get at least one listing a month if you follow this strategy. Okay? Where are we at time-wise?
10:06.
Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do, let's take a 2-minute, anybody need to potty? Okay, let's take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to come back and hear from Coach Artemis Prime. You ready, buddy? All right. No, a 3-minute break. Three minutes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What's up, brother? Good to see you, man.
Nice to meet you.
You too.